Good afternoon and welcome back to the show. Good evening, actually. I can't even speak properly because of the adrenaline flowing through my body. Good evening. It is the Manchester United versus Manchester City match reaction. Manchester United 2, Manchester City 0 after full time. Unbelievable result. You know, I'm not a religious man, but if there was ever a time to believe in God, it's now. It's now. How does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer beat Pep Guardiola 3 out of 4 times? And he's done it at home and away now. PE teacher, gym teacher, call him what you want to call him, but you don't beat Pep Guardiola 3 times in one season and not have some sort of mental edge and tactical prowess. I really don't know what to say. So helping me find my words and find words to explain this today, joining me, Rita and Shawnee, as usual, as we get into the show. Please do leave a like on the video. And boy, oh boy, I'm gassed. Thoughts on the game, gentlemen?
All is at the wheel. Know how good does feel. Glory, glory, Man United. Glory, glory, Man United. Dude, I'm fucking gassed, dude. I haven't been this happy since PSG. I don't even have the words to describe my emotions. I'm just so happy. It's unbelievable.
I've never heard Shawnee sing Ollie's at the wheel. So
listen, guys, I'm Ollie out, but I'm gonna give credit where credit's due. Today his tactics freaking worked. And listen, Poch, if you don't want to come in the summer still, it's always up for this discussion anyway. But we'll leave it there. Today is all about Ali and United and that bald-headed fraud getting schooled once again.
Yeah.
We're married Chelsea no matter what we do.
I want to sing all as the wheel, but Shanique took my thing. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Like, I really love that moment at the end where Ol is looking to the crowd to acknowledge to look at me. I just did the double over Pep Guardiola, over Man City.
The last United manager to do it was Sir Alex Ferguson. Who's the only other manager to get a double over Pep in a season? It's Klopp. And now Oli is there. It's ridiculous.
Yes. It was amazing. It was amazing. Look, it wasn't the prettiest. It definitely wasn't. But in terms of the game plan today, it was spot on. At the start of the game, I was worried because I thought on transition we did struggle, and I did note that in the preview. But we weren't bad. We were better than City. City were horrible. I think this was one of the worst performances I've seen from City in a very long time. And we got the goal. I'm not going to say lucky. I mean, it was a brilliant take from Bruno Fernandes. And we went 1-0 ahead. Second half, we sank even deeper, but defense was spot on. We were fabulous in defense. City had nothing, and we deserved to win the game.
Mm-hmm. Let's not beat around the bush. I think you made some very interesting points, and I want to respond to all 3 of them. The first one being that it was not pretty. Let's not beat around the bush. This is not the way you want to play if you want to win league titles and you want to compete in the highest level of European football. But in a one-off game against a really good manager to get the result when you're chasing 4th or whatever the case may be, it's genius. I don't want to lube up Ole Gunnar Solskjaer too much, but how can you not? Because I think today he had a plan and it could have worked. It could have gone completely wrong. If it gone completely wrong, we would have been sat here saying, why? Oh, why, Ollie? But it went right. So you have to give credit where it's due. That's what it's about. You go with a plan, and the plan might or might not work. You can't control this as a coach. Today, the plan worked. The players did what they had to do to grind out the result. And I think the second point I'll make is, with regards to City having their worst performance, in your opinion, look, Manchester United have the second most clean sheets in Europe. So you can read that stat in one of 2 ways. You can read that stat and say Manchester United play negative football and are very basic. Or you can read that stat and say Manchester United are bloody hard to break down. And I think it's the latter. We're bloody hard to break down. Manchester City were running out of ideas because you can't just pass your way into the box when there's 10 players behind the ball. You can't do it. That's why the tactic is so effective. And I think for Manchester United, going on to my last point, the key to this tactic in a game like this was always going ahead. As cliche as that sounds, going ahead obviously helps you in any game. But when you're playing this tactic, you cannot go behind. Because chasing a game with 5 at the back when you don't have possession doesn't work. You can call it a 3 at the back today, but it was effectively a 5 at the back because of how much we defended. On any other day where we play more possession-based football and we move forward, like against Chelsea, you can make the argument that this formation is a back 3. But today, I don't think there's any arguments about it being a back five. We were sitting and we were defending, and going ahead was key. That for me, when we went ahead, I was like, okay, now I believe, because now we can actually soak up the pressure and try hit them on the break and try to go ahead. And even if we don't go ahead, I trust us to hold it out till the end. And you know what? It worked. And also, just for a bit of banter, you know, I want to know how much we're paying Raheem Sterling. You know, like we should use him more often. I want to know how much.
He was a United fan or a Liverpool fan.
Like
I was expecting to take up for shit there. I'd be like, I support Liverpool or United.
I was expecting that too. In fact, I'm expecting his contract to get leaked with the club. Like, you know, he needs to come. He needs to get off the loan deal and come back to Manchester United and play for us, because clearly he's playing for us. Like, you know. But yeah, I'm gassed. I really would love to sit here all day and talk about what Ollie did right, but I don't think we have the time for that.
I feel like it's getting to his head, Ryan Sterling. The whole thing that he has, even if he's saying it's not, but it is, because it's clear that he struggles when he plays against us, and the whole Wan-Bissaka thing also gets to his head.
Whoa,
and on what you said, I think City weren't bad in attack. I mean, against another team that could break them down playing like that, but I've seen them better. I think you're right in saying that the way we defend caused them a lot of problems. We've become so good at it. It's amazing.
Yeah, because look, it's not even a surprise. Like, if you haven't been watching Manchester United for the last 6 years, I can refresh your memory, even as far back to Van Gaal. But, you know, I don't want to go to Van Gaal because that's a controversial example. Let's go as far back to Mourinho. Under Mourinho, there was a period where we went like 16 or 17 games unbeaten, and there were like 9 draws in there. And it was because of our solid defense. Like, we've become extremely good. It's ironic, isn't it? Because under Fergie, we were good for coming back into games. Now we're good at staying ahead of games. You know, so we've become extremely good in the last decade at closing out results when we go ahead. And that's something I'm really proud of. Like, Ollie in, Ollie out, Ollie on shore. Let's put that aside. One thing I'm really proud about, and this has got nothing to do with Ollie, I'm proud about the fact that when Manchester United goes ahead in the game, doesn't matter whether it's Pep, Simeone, Klopp, Angelotti, it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the touchline. I'm confident that we can close out the game, and the worst possible result after us going ahead is a draw. And I love to say that as a Manchester United fan, and I've got the evidence to back it up. So it's no surprise to me that City struggled today, because they didn't have De Bruyne. Their midfield was pretty weak. I mean, I'm not going to say Gundogan is not a good player. I personally think Gundogan is a really good player, and personally, he was one of my favorite midfielders before he went to City. Fun fact, if you didn't know about me. But I just don't think he's the guy that was going to cause us serious problems in this game. Look, Maguire, Lindelof, and Shaw. Just one more point to finish off. Maguire, Lindelof, and Shaw versus David Silva, Aguero, and Sterling. I'm confident with that, you know. And then you throw in Wan-Bissaka and Williams on top of that. I'm fine with that. I'm not scared of it when they don't have De Bruyne, at least.
Yeah, I'm not scared of anyone going down Wan-Bissaka side. No one. Could put Messi there or pocket him. Put Messi and Ronaldo at the same time. Pocket both.
It's too much. Okay. I was going to say that that midfield, a combination. I think it's one of the first time they've played it actually, and it just didn't work. It really didn't work. It's not one of their best.
It's funny because somebody said something so profound before the game, and you know, this is not shots at the football fans, but you know, when our emotions are running high, we tend to be very flip-floppy, including myself.
Yep.
We tend to rage a lot. We tend to get caught up in the emotions. But this was a true point before the game. Somebody said that today's game, based on the way Manchester City are lining up and based on the way Manchester United are lining up, today's game is not about personnel. Today's game is about system. And we'll see which system works better and whether, like, I think if Manchester City were going to win today, it was because their system was just that brilliant. And we saw that it wasn't. Pep Guardiola is a really good football manager. Like, in terms of playing attractive football, he's phenomenal. But when he doesn't have the players to play it, you can clearly see the cracks. And it reminds me of Sir Alex versus Wenger all those years ago. You know, Sir Alex was obviously a better manager overall than Wenger, but Wenger on his day played the most beautiful football when he was at his prime. And I think that's one thing he had one up on Sir Alex, but it didn't matter because you don't win trophies over a long period of time playing attractive football unless you can attract players to play that football consistently and players who want to sit on the bench for when your starting 11 isn't working. And it's just crazy.
the one season Wenger had good players, look what he did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know if you're talking about the Invincibles or not, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Then.
Yeah, like, so, you know, I've, in a weird way, after today, learned to respect Pep Guardiola more than I thought I would, but I've realized that my opinion of him has changed. I don't think he's the best coach overall in the world anymore. I think he's the best in terms of football, in terms of playing attractive football. You know, like, this man will teach you how to play football and how to pass in triangles and how to hold the ball. But for long-term winning without the players, I don't know, man. I just don't know with Pep. And I think it shows today. Like, look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the way he's set up, and he's beat them 2-0. You know, however you read that 2-0 in the history books, we beat Manchester City. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Twice in their own backyard. So, you know, you can spin it however you want. You can say it's negative football, no matter what you want. But Inter Milan did this against a prime Barcelona, and Pep Guardiola was on their touchline. Inter Milan, that famous 1-0 win in the Champions League, 2 legs. Inter Milan just went up 1-0 and they parked it. And they knocked prime Barcelona out of the Champions League. People forget that. There's so many examples in history of pragmatic football beating attractive football. And it is what it is, dog. Like, it is what it is. Football ain't about what you deserve. It's about who takes their chances. And we took our chances today. So that's how the cookie crumbles, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I think I've rambled too much there. Just before we get into the player ratings, what did you think of the VAR decision? Do you not care because we won, or was that something you guys?
I always care. But, you know, I say, you know, things have to definitely change. This is 2 weeks now in the Premier League with Fred specifically. You know, this week the penalty. That, you know, when I seen it, I was like, no penalty, but it wasn't a dive. That was my initial reaction.
Yeah.
Then, and I looked at it, I'm like, that could be given as a penalty. And, you know, at least even if it's not a penalty, reverse the yellow card. But obviously, I think with the current rules, if you reverse the yellow card and then they would be like, okay, why don't you just give the penalty then anyways? And I think, you know, not to go back too far, but when I think it was against we played Everton, where Fred got the yellow card for the handball, but it hit his knee. And, you know, VR also didn't come up there back then.
Yeah,
but specifically today, it was, you know, obviously we don't care. But if things went the other way, we would have been speaking a lot more properly about it.
My personal opinion of VAR is that if it's going to improve, football has to change its rules. And part of that is making sure that decisions that influence the game like that are checked, whether it's a goal or not. You know, like, it doesn't take that long in a game of football. And I know football fans don't want to ruin the fluidity of the game, but I promise you, 30 seconds out of your life in a game of football is not that long in the grander scheme of things. And if you want your sport to improve, and we want VAR to go forward and be a part of the game, it has to happen. Like, we have to stop being so resistant to change, you know. And I know that's going to offend a lot of people because a lot of people are traditionalists, but move with the times, dog, you know. Look, I just don't get it.
If it's going to improve the game, 30 seconds is nothing. So they definitely should work on improving it. What I'm wondering, I want to know what the reason for the decision was. Because if it was soft, like, there's a serious problem in football. Where's the line?
Here's what I think happened. I think in real time, Mike Dean looked at that and he was like, that's soft, and you dived. If Mike Dean had been told to go upstairs, there's a possibility Mike Dean would have looked at that and said, oh, I'm wrong. It's clearly contact. Let's do it. But my problem with VAR is he didn't even go and check it. Why?
No, they did.
He didn't even go and did he?
Oh, he didn't. Oh, but VAR checked.
He didn't check it. But commentator said,
VAR checked.
That's not a
what did they see? They saw different angles. Yes, Mike Dean, I think he was a bit dismissive about it, which, like, all the officials say, they don't understand when referees do that, when they're so dismissive about situations. When they're human, they can make mistakes. So I think he influenced it. But I really don't understand what the referee in the VAR room was doing. I mean, we saw that's one slowed down angle, and we all knew that there was a foul there, or there was at least contact.
That's down to the rules then, because if that's down to the clear and obvious thing, I'm very disappointed. And that's not VAR's fault, because this has been happening in football for a very long time. Like, penalties have not been given in the past in Champions League finals, in Champions League quarterfinals, in Premier League tight Premier League races. Penalties that should have been given have never been given because of this whole clear and obvious nonsense. And VAR was supposed to correct that, but somehow the clear and obvious thing is still incorporated into the rules in the Premier League specifically. In the Champions League, it's a different story entirely because I think in the Champions League, VAR works much, much better. But
Look,
yeah,
I'd actually forgotten about the clear and obvious thing, to be honest. I think maybe I got lost in the emotion. In terms of the clear and obvious rules, they actually did the right thing.
I don't know, man. Do you see, like, yes, maybe today, right? But where's the line? That's always been my question. Where's the line? When does it become clear and obvious? How the hell do you measure clear and obvious? Like, what is painful for one man might be completely unpainful for another man. What makes another man laugh might actually make another man hurt. Like, there are players who genuinely, you can brush them with a feather and they'll go flying because that's how their body is. And then there's players who you can knock them and they'll try stand up and it won't get given as a foul because the referee will say clearly there wasn't enough contact. And that's why diving has become such a big part of football, so that people can say, hey, he's clearly touched me. Let me hold my knee and roll over 15 times so you can see that I'm actually hurt. And it's just like, what is clear and obvious? That's why I'm so annoyed by VAR. But that's not me being annoyed at VAR. That's me being annoyed at the rule system. Because even before VAR, like Reta knows, me and him have been talking in DMs for years about these things, and I've been complaining since I started watching football about the rules, and it happens in other sports as well. So, But
look, in terms of the rule, it's right, but honestly, this clear and obvious thing is bullshit. I don't know why they're changing something that's worked so well in the Champions League. Just let the referee go look at the monitor. It's not hard.
And he didn't decide for himself, dog. Like, But anyways, I'd love to talk about VAR, but we want to know, and let's not make this the VAR outro. Let's go on to the play ratings.
Yes.
David De Gea, out of 10.
Oh yeah, 9. He made important saves today. He made one. They went through Wan-Bissaka's legs. He made the early one on as well. There was sometimes I was worried, but when we play out the back, I'm always worried when he has the ball. But other than that, when he was asked to do something, he did it, and 9 out of 10, amazing.
Did you listen who? Remember who?
Yeah, Edison. Wow. Wow.
Edison. Yikes.
Yeah. But I feel like I don't want to get too much to Man City. He's a good goalkeeper. There's just a lot of issues at Man City right now, and it's clearly getting to him. But he's a good goalkeeper. De Gea was amazing. Like, he wasn't called on too much, which is a surprise against Man City. Yes, there was a few times, but not what you'd expect against Man City. But when he had to make a save, he got up and did it, and he deserves an 8 for that.
Definitely. To the Manchester City fans who don't have a fan channel of their own and have to watch our podcast, I'm just joking.
I'll give Edison a 0 if you want the player rating.
Yeah. Hey, I wasn't even talking about Edison. I actually said Dean Henderson, but the joke works both ways.
Henderson was actually a match.
He deserves a -2. Edison.
Yeah. GG. Aaron Wan-Bissaka out of 10.
15. I don't give a fuck. This guy's the best right back I've ever seen in my life. 15 out of 10. I'm not having it. Trent can get lost. You put Ronaldo, Messi, Mbappe, Neymar all on that side. You don't get past Wan-Bissaka one man. This guy is the defense one man. I couldn't give two shits. This is the greatest of all time I've ever seen in that position. I'm not having
That's a video title. Wan-Bissaka scores 15.
15 out of 10. I'm done. There's no ways. This guy's one of my favorite players at United. I was so gassed when we signed him. Like how people feel about Bruno when he came. And you know what? He makes me so happy. And he's the best. He's the best. Yeah. I'm not having it.
I was worried about Wan-Bissaka because there were reports about him having a back problem, and I thought, oh my God, stress fracture, here it comes, second player.
Yeah, no, he's a big asset. Like he's had Raheem Sterling in his back pocket for some time now.
He had him in his back pocket. They switched. Mars went their back pocket. They switched. They put their wing back there, back pocket. They switched. They put Aguero back pocket. They put Mendy back pocket. No ways.
I swear Sterling is nightmares about Wan-Bissaka now.
I am done.
You know what's funny though? Because even if Sterling gets past Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw are still waiting at there. That's the scary part.
That's the thing, when Wan-Bissaka was in that position and Lindelof and Maguire were still there, so it's like, you see.
Yeah, that's true.
If Wan-Bissaka's there and he's on you, please. You dream about it.
Look, he didn't have to attack. Like, I'm not even going to judge him on that. It was not necessary. He did what he had to do in this game. He's a defender and keep Man City out, and he was brilliant at that. Like, especially in the big games, he's consistent. But in the big games, like you see, he's really up for it, and those tackles were inch perfect. I think he deserves an 8.
You know what's scary about Wan-Bissaka? People will have agendas, and that's okay. Hate is going to hate. But if I don't mean to get on a high horse here, but if you actually have an analytical mind and you actually have an objective view of the game of football and you look at all the fullbacks in the world, you'll realize that, and I've tried to explain this in the podcast before, fullbacks are allowed to make last-ditch tackles, mess up, and then get recovered by the centre-back. That's allowed in football. Like, there's very good right-backs who don't get 100% of their tackles in, barely even make 80 to 70% of their tackles.
Look at Trent. Trent defensively is whack.
But
then he's got a Van Dijk and Gomez.
Yeah, you don't even the most defensively solid fullbacks over the years though have never been that consistent in terms of tackles. Like, they have good games, but they're allowed.
Like, you looked at Marcelo and Carvalho in Real Madrid.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
Were defensively the best, but
What's scary about Wan-Bissaka is every time he tackles, you expect him to win it. That's really scary.
Like, every time Wan-Bissaka is in that situation, I zoom in and I'm like, it's because I want to make the stat at the end of the season. This guy hasn't been beaten, and like, this guy just never gets beat.
It's not human. Like, he's a robot.
We haven't seen a defensive fullback like this in a long time.
Yeah, he's a robot. Like, I compared him to a robot when I try to explain what I see when he runs forward, he doesn't look very natural with the ball. I think he might actually be a Terminator. That running thing going forward, he might actually be a Terminator because defensively he's the same. He's a robot. Well, he's Spider-Man, but he's the Android version of Spider-Man. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Lindelof out of 10.
9. He actually won headers today as well. Positioning was good. When Wan-Bissaka had to go up because of the wing-back position, he dealt with Sterling and that when he had to do. So also, again, 9 out of 10.
Never heard you give him a 9. That's a first.
Look, I didn't see much of the headers. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, and he didn't go up too much. But once again, he didn't need to as a defender. And in terms of positioning, in terms of covering for Wan-Bissaka when needed to, I thought he was extraordinary. So I'm going to give him a 7.
Yeah, look, a lot of people would have said Bailey probably should have started, but again, Bailey, Lindelof, Ferrari, Porsche, they're both fast cars. So whichever one you get, don't complain. Shut up and stop moaning, eat your breakfast, and watch the game. Maguire out of 10.
Maguire, I thought it was actually shaky. But again, every time we had to do something, he smashed it. He smashed out of the park, won every header. He bullied Aguero. He bullied.
How he is. He thinks he's Beckenbauer sometimes.
Yeah, that's the thing. Also, he's not one of those players. And we try to play at the back. He gives me heart attacks. But again, defensively, everyone's just solid. So also, again, 9 out of 10. Got no complaints.
Yeah. I thought he was really good. It was really good. Like, people can shut up about that 80 million price tag. Like, they bought what's the name again? Stones for about 50 or something. And 50 was a lot back then. And he's doing rubbish. So they can shut up. He was amazing. He wins everything in the air. Positioning, we don't even need to talk about that. He carries the ball out so well. And the confidence, like, we're starting to see why he's our captain. I really enjoyed his performance today. I'm going to give him a 9.
Yeah, personally, I've always seen it in him. I think he's just a player who leads by stature. He's such a good role model, for the youngsters in the locker room. Like, yeah, he doesn't shout. Yeah, he doesn't roar up. Yeah, he doesn't put his fists in the air that often. But you know what? He's a good person to model yourself after as a defender because he doesn't make that many mistakes. He's solid in the air. He's not too slow, and he's got the confidence of a Beckenbauer sometimes, which can make your heart drop. Don't get me wrong, but it's very rare that he actually loses the ball in the back four and it goes to a goal. So, he's good with his feet. I think it's fair to say that. He can play a long ball. He can play a short pass. He can also hold the ball and improvise when he needs to. And, there's nothing really wrong with Harry Maguire besides the fact that, he's just a traditional bulky centre-back, and most people nowadays in the modern game prefer someone who's quick, but it's about the pairing, right? The combination. So I really like him. And yeah, in the words of Rita, you can shut up about the 80 million price tag. Luke Shaw out of 10.
9. Defensively, again, amazing. He helped.
You're just going to give everyone 9s there.
He's alive.
Yeah.
9. 9's out like it's bloody Christmas.
Luke Shaw definitely gets a 9 also. Defensively amazing. The whole defense was just amazing. And again, when Brandon Williams had to go up forward because, like Wan-Bissaka for the wing-back position. When he had to cover, he was amazing. And even when Brandon Williams went off and he had to go to wing-back, defensively again, amazing. Pocketed Mahrez. I swear, everyone was just switching positions in City and they were like, we're getting pocketed. What's going on? So yeah, you know what? Pep, you fraud and your oil money team can get lost.
I feel like in the first
fiscal
20...
second.
Yeah, they are. In the first 20, they really called him out. They were like, let's see if you're a centre-back. And he struggled a little bit with the pace, and he made a few mistakes here and there, but I think he recovered. And as always, positioning is amazing. And yeah, he wasn't playing fullback today, so I wasn't judging on going forward. And usually he does find a way to go forward from the centre-back position. But today, obviously, because of the team reversing, he didn't do it that much. But defensively, he was spot on. I'm going to give him a 7.
Yeah, it amazes me that there's people out there who think Luke Shaw's trash. It amazes me. It blows my mind. You know, it just... I don't even know. I think sometimes...
You know, if Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw had to take Robertson and Trent's place, they must sit down there quietly. I don't blame them. They must relax. You know, Liverpool fans out there, can relax. Please, relax.
Yeah, like, you know, with Luke Shaw, I never know what to say. So sometimes no words is the best way. You know, what can you say? I agree with the line, by the way.
And he didn't play fullback today. Going forward, he's just so intelligent. Like, fullbacks can run and cross. He's extremely intelligent about what he's going to do with the football. That is
he's experienced as well. So, you know, like, he can see a good run. Like, I don't want to spoil the show too much, but I saw Dan James make so many poor decisions today, and Martial made one poor decision. Well, debatable whether it was poor or not because he is a striker. But I just think with regards to Luke Shaw, he's got a good head on his shoulders because of the experience he has had. He's still a very young player, but there's context because this guy's played in the Premier League for like 5 seasons now, including Southampton. So
yeah,
he's a seasoned professional, and that's what you get. And I'm not trying to bash Brandon Williams or anything. You know, just comparing Brandon Williams and Luke Shaw, that's the difference. Luke Shaw is less likely to make a mistake, and he's more likely to make the correct decisions defensively and going forward because he's so experienced. He's done it for so long, and you just can't buy that, you know? But anyways, the Brandon Williams out of 10.
9. Also, defensively also, guys, you fucking going forward. I'm telling this guy, going forward. He was good. He was good. He charged defenders. You know, he skinned some few of City players. You know, and for a kid of that age to come in a game like this and put in that performance, it's that special. 9 out of 10 also.
Look, I'm not gonna give him a 9. I think he did 3 players. And for most of the game, he was pretty good. But the last 20 minutes, they were having. I won't lie. That's why OLE took him off. The City were just going down that side because he was really struggling defensively. So I'm not going to judge him solely on that. So I'm going to give him a 7.
I'm sorry. Message out of 10.
9. Also, guys, there's no agendas. I'm telling you, there's no agendas. What I said today was a tactical masterclass in the system, and everyone, how they played in that system was just brilliant. Also, Matic, 9, you know, he was giving me heart attacks when he was giving the ball away early on, but he recovered. You know, he played it out the back. You know, his interceptions are amazing. I got no problems with Matic.
I'm crying.
Shouldn't you relax?
I'm telling you,
These guys.
There are other numbers that are acceptable, you know, like a 7's a pretty good rating. So is an 8.
Not everyone will get it.
Oh my god.
He had a good game. He had a good game. Like, defensively, he was solid. Like, and he's been solid for the last few weeks. I heard we extended his contract. We didn't give a new contract, but we added a few months or a year or so, which I agree with. Even if we get in another CDM, having matched on the bench and having that experience on the bench is a big plus. I think he deserves a 7 for today's performance.
Look, with regards to Matic, I never envisioned we'd be giving him a contract extension. But at the end of the day, when somebody performs well, you reward them. Like, you can't look at somebody's age and be ageist. You know, like Zlatan came here at what age? Like 36 or 35?
Yeah.
You know, so I personally don't like old players, and I personally don't believe there's a long-term future. with Matic, but if he keeps himself in shape, if he keeps
Yeah.
himself in good nick, and if he can still make the right decisions and do what he did today on a consistent basis, what's the problem? What's the problem? Just give him the contract. And I'm glad it's not a 5-year contract extension with a ridiculous wage increase, but
Yeah.
oh my God. Yeah, I needed a few moments to get a hold of myself because I've never heard this many nines. I never have. I'm still starstruck by the 15 out of 10. But anyways, I've forgotten who played next to Matic now because of this madness. Oh, Fred. Yeah, Fred out of 10.
And I promise this is my last one. None! Pastor Fred! None! Absolutely brilliant also. I said he was tired in the earlier games, but today he just ran and he ran and he intercepted and he intercepted and he
He was
played
just an
quick.
engine today.
And he played quick and that's what Fred is. He's the pastor of the team. He probably did a prayer there. I said, like Marcus said, if there ever was a time you believe in God, it's today. And man like Pastor Fred, amazing also today. Engine, workhorse. He didn't do anything wrong. 9 out of 10 also.
Yeah. Like he's a machine. He's a machine. And Bruno Fernandes is the final product. Like he is absolutely amazing. He's the heartbeat of that midfield. Everything starts through him. And he's so strong nowadays. Like he doesn't just lose the ball willy-nilly. He's really strong with the ball.
Yeah. He looks like what Kante looked like a few seasons ago.
Yeah. I don't know defensively he's that good, but he's improved a lot. And in terms of going forward, he's been phenomenal. Like in terms of our transition, everything starts with Fred. And without Fred, we'd seriously struggle. And he was a big part in this game. Like, I think we dominated Man City's midfield. Like, that's not something you say every day, but I think we did. And for that, I think he deserves a 9.
That's what
I don't know about dominated because the position, makes that null and void.
I feel like
but,
we were more
but
productive.
hey,
Maybe
oh
we
yeah,
can hold
in
the ball
in
longer.
terms of being
We were
productive.
more productive.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we're more productive. But dominated is a dicey word. I can feel City fans cringing and saying, "What? Look at the possession, mate." But no, okay, yeah, for real. I wanted to say that if Manchester United is a car, then Fred is the engine and Bruno Fernandes is like the AI. He's the computer. He's the software in the car. And, that's just really what it is. I feel like Bruno's the final touch, but you still need players like Fred. I look at Liverpool. Liverpool is not a glamorous, they do play attacking fluid football, but they don't play the most glamorous football out there. I've definitely seen teams play more glamorous footballs. You don't even have to look that far because City is one of them. But Liverpool have a combination of world-class talent, leadership, and hard workers in their team. And I'm starting to see a bit of that in Manchester United, which could be a positive sign going forward. With players like Fred, Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka is both. He works hard and he's world-class. Fred, Matic, okay, maybe not so much Matic, but McTominay on his good day. And then you've got people like Bruno, you've got people like Martial, you've got Rashford who will come back, you'll have Pogba who will be involved. So you've got the world-class talent, you've got the leaders in Maguire and Bruno, and then you've got the hard workers like Fred in your team. And I think that's a huge positive. You've even got the hair in goal. Goalkeeping is a very individualistic thing, so you want to get the best no matter what. Like a hard-working goalkeeper isn't good enough. He has to actually keep the shots out, Yeah. So I just think there's a lot of positives. But anyways, Bruno Fernandes out of 10.
I'm gonna give him a 7. That assist was next level. That assist was absolutely next level. Obviously, you couldn't get much higher than a 7 because of the system, and that's why I gave the defensive players such high marks because the system that we had played and the tactics that were set out
Was defensive.
absolutely flawless. Yeah, it was absolutely flawless. So, and a 7 is good for Bruno, and that's what to expect. It's just another assist in the office of Bruno. So another day at the office, Bruno is world class. He's absolutely world class. The way other managers even speak about Bruno, the way the pundits speak about Bruno, and those pundits didn't even know who Bruno is before the summer. So Bruno, amazing, 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
If Dan James just looked up and if Martial wasn't
he could have had a brace.
Bruno would have had, you could have had a brace and an assist. That's what I was about to say. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a spot-on analysis, Mashoni. I think the system did affect him, but he made the most of what he had. When he got the ball, he was as productive as he can be. And that assist was brilliant. Like, to note that Man City was switched off and to do that is pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. So I think he deserves a 7.
It's Bruno. He's just that good. When you're intelligent footballer, you don't make that many mistakes. It's Bruno. But yeah, agreed, man. Dan James. Some people think he had a stinker, but you know what? I can understand why he got selected today.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I'm gonna give Dan James a 7 out of 10 because again, with the system we played, he was very, very important. You know, he was our outlet going forward. You know, when times are tough, and you just need him. The one thing that this guy can do, get the ball, pace merchant all the way down, and that's exactly what he did today. Amazing. He would have gotten an 8, but too bad. You know, his football IQ is low, and he didn't cut it back. So I was very pissed off, and I will never forgive him. It's not the first time he's done that to Bruno, but yeah, 7 out of 10. He was very crucial to the system today.
Yeah, 7, spot on. I think he did what he had to do. He was our outlets, and his pace really helped us in the transition. And yeah, he should have passed. He really should have. Like, it was such an odd spot.
No, there wasn't even maybe. No, he should have. There's no ways you can shoot from.
The cameras made that shot look better a decision than it actually was. Like the camera angles helped him, but he should have passed.
Yeah. Hey, and if it works, you're genius. But sadly for him, it didn't work.
I could give you that scenario 100 times straight.
Usually I agree with that, but even when Rashford scores, sometimes we're like, he should have passed, but luckily he scored. That's exactly what James did there. You know, even if he had scored there, I would have been like, okay, I guess it's a goal, but like next time, please pass. That's how
I would have been over the moon. I would have been like, what a goal from Dan James. No lie. But yeah, he had a good performance. I think he deserves a 7.
Yeah, agreed. I'm surprised his nickname's not the Flash yet. You know, he's wearing red already. He's quick already. So, you know, when's that nickname? When's that agenda coming? Because I think this man's quick. One of the quickest players I've seen in a long time. Reminds me of the days when Aubameyang first bursted onto the scene and he was in Dortmund and everyone was obsessed with Aubameyang in the yellow and black and he was just the lightning Usain Bolt and everyone thought he was the quickest player in the world. And it's similar effect with Dan James now. When I look at him, I see so much of that excitement during Aubameyang's uprising.
James just develop more IQ and, you know, some trickery or something.
You know, he did do something in the game where he did get past the City defender, and I was like, well, you know, people say he can't skill, but he did there. I just forgot who the City player was.
I think it was Dr. Mendy, where he came like a fake right, and then he just literally kicked it past and ran into him.
Yeah, okay. That's a usual Dan James trick, actually.
I forgot to say, did you guys see when, I forgot who it was, but when one Basaka chowed the City defender?
Yeah.
I lost count of how many times they just chowed. Like I said, no man, you know what? He's a real life superhero in this world.
He tries to improvise. And it works sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. It looks good when it works. It looks horrible when it doesn't, because he's so robotic. But you know, Martial out of 10.
7. Also, I love Martial. You know, came from France. English press said he had no chance, but Tony Martial scores again. That's the short version. But yeah, 7, because I want to also. I don't care you're a striker. Pass the fucking ball. Pass it, please. Please, it's right there. I know you're a striker, and I know you could have. You know, on another day we've seen you score it there. But
I've seen it
I've even said, and I've even said this to Rashford. You know, because Rashford does that quite often, and I don't like it. I always said, you know, that's what Rashford is all about and stuff. But if he did pass it, just imagine what would happen. But yeah, 7 out of 10. That finish could have been saved, but I don't give a fuck. Like I said, Edison had a nightmare. And yeah, you know, he does what he does, gets the goal. Tony Martial scores again. Thank you for coming. 7 out of 10.
Look, after he didn't pass to Bruno, like I was getting ready. I was going to chow him when I come in tonight.
If he didn't score today,
I was going to have him. But to be honest, I think he had a brilliant game. He scored, but the work rate, the movement, oh my gosh, was out of this world.
Defensively, he was very good as well.
He was amazing. I was sitting with a Liverpool fan, and he was saying to me, you guys are too harsh on this guy. This guy's a workhorse. And yeah, I think he was one of the best players on the pitch. I think he also deserves a 9, to be honest.
Personally, I think Martial's lazy. I think he is. I think we paid too much for him. I think we should get our money back. You know, he scored once against Man City. So who cares? Yeah. He's lazy. He's got a bad attitude. He's toxic. He's a virus to the club. And you know what? Aguero would have scored that. Kane would have scored that. What's the big deal? He's just scored another goal. It's not indicative of how toxic he is to this team. Him and Pogba should go back to France. They should go back to France. Imagine.
But this is what happens.
Yeah, no, there's people out there thinking Martial's actually lucky, you know, and I've lost count of how many goals he scored this season because it's getting ridiculous now. It's getting close to 20 actually in all competitions. So if you have a Martial agenda, you know, let's pray for you. We need to pray for you because you're a negative human being and you don't know what you're on about. And yeah, there's nothing more to say. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out of 10.
I just want to do the subs before going to Oli, because I think the subs are also crucial.
But yeah, the subs. Go ahead.
McTominay, I'm going to give it 8 because he scored the second goal, which I always thought we needed. And I thought when McTominay came out as the right sub, and he's just a shit house.
I can't believe McTominay actually scored.
And he hit it first time. Like, that's not easy. Yeah. He just went ping and it went in. I was like, fantastic. And you know, again, shit house of a player. He's just like, I'll take you out. And that's what you need sometimes. And I thought that sub was great. Igalo, quick before, I'll just give all the subs rating. I'll let Moloto do it then. Igalo, I thought also great. I'm going to give him a 7. When he came on, he held up. He did ball rolls past the City players. It made the billionaire City players look like they play for Bad City. You know what I'm saying? Men be like that. Men like Igalo. You know,
looks like they play for Norwich.
And then who else came on? Oh, Baye. And yeah, when Baye came on also, I thought it was the right sub. I thought, like Moloto said, Williams was starting to struggle. Obviously, as a kid, you know, he's getting tired. And then, you know, defensively, when Baye was there, again, you get to it. And I seen Baye and Wan-Bissaka next to each other. I'm like, come. And now it was locked down already before. Now it's just like, don't go that side. Like, you'll get hurt. Like, your leg might just break if you step on that side of the field. So I'm going to give Baye also a 7.
Yeah, I think all the subs did well when they came on. I think McTominay, defensively, was very good, but I'm going to give him an 8 for his brilliant awareness and for scoring the second goal that we really need. And hold up. What's his name again? Igalo. He has the one thing that Lukaku was dreadful at. Lukaku was horrible at hold up. Lukaku was horrible his first touch, and in terms of us trying to hold onto a lead, you desperately need your striker to do exactly what Igalo did. So I think for that, he also deserves a 7. And Baye, he made some crucial tackles. He wasn't on for long, but he made some crucial tackles. So he also deserves a 7.
You know, I don't really know how to set up this joke or this line rather, but I'm just going to go straight into it. You know, there's a Vanek saying for what McTominay did. Pulantizio. 2-0. In the 95th or 94th minute. Like, heartbreaker is the direct translation of that, if you don't understand Vanek. But yeah, it's
exactly what Liverpool did to us.
Yeah. Well, it's worse than what Liverpool did to us because Liverpool did it to us and it was a draw. We did it to them and it was like
the second time. It's
oh yeah. Actually. Yeah, no, sorry, I forgot about that. I've been so gassed up, I erased that Liverpool result from my memory. My apologies. Yeah, no, it's good. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out of 10 then.
10! First 10 ever! Oli. His plan worked, you know. He was even upset. I seen Oli smashing his chair on the table. I don't know what he has in front. But the thing when James didn't pass back to Bruno, you know, he was so gassed up. He was happy when Bruno did that assist. He's like, you know, I'm going to claim that. I'm going to say we worked on that in the training. I'm just watching the first one. He's like, that's me now. We worked out that, you know, Bruno did that in Martial they play around during training, so I'm gonna claim that. And you know, just the shithousery that, you know, that look he's giving Pep, and then that stare with his arm just above his eyebrows, like, yeah, say what now? And you know, that's the thing, I'm Oli out, guys. But you know, you have to give credit to credit's due, and this is what Oli was all about today. Like, obviously this is not the way I wanted to go forward. Obviously we still do teams like Everton and all those things. I won't forget it, but today, I'm not going to bash the man. Like I said, we'll deal with it when we get there. But, you know, live in this time for now. It doesn't come often. I haven't felt this happy since PSG. So 10 out of 10. And just quick, you know, for any City fans watching, Edison gets a 0. Everyone else gets 2. Sterling gets a 10. He was man of the match as a United player. And Pep Guardiola gets 2 just because of that meme. You know, it will be up on my status. I will be tweeting about it because he is a bald-headed fraud with baby oil on his head, and he's been schooled by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Thank you.
He's been schooled by a PE teacher, fam. How does it feel?
Yeah, actually,
if anyone doesn't know, Malota loves this manager, so bash him, please. Thank you.
I love to do city ratings, and he definitely deserves it too. I think his selection was pretty poor, to be honest. I feel like you've played this team, and what you have to do, you can't be busy being ticky-tacky and passing the ball around. No, you must pick pace, and people are going to finish. Start Mario, start Jesus, start Silva. But I don't know why.
Oh my God! When I saw Morris come on, my heart sunk because Morris actually was very productive. Now that you mention it,
Dude,
it was scary to watch Morris.
like he has this tendency of overthinking things. But let's just stick on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like we have to give credit where it's due. This guy, I'm not Ole in, I'm not Ole out, but this guy has been doing pretty well in the last few weeks. So we have to give credit where it's due. And his plan worked to the T. It worked to the T.
Yeah.
So he deserves a 9, in my opinion.
And also, I just want to give a shout out to my boy SK. You know, I know he'll probably be watching. I just seen him send me a clip now about. I didn't see this. I don't know if you guys seen it, but basically where Bruno Fernandes is down near the touchline near Pep, and it looks like they had an argument or something, and then Bruno's basically doing like his, you know, that thing you do with your head with arrogance, where you just like hit it up, and he's there like, sit down, be quiet. So yeah. Shout out to my boy SK for sending that clip. Pep is a fraud.
Should have that clip on the outro to the show, to be honest with you. But anyway.
He's very confident, Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Just quickly, you know, before we end off the show, before we wrap it up, because I think all that's been said has been said, and we can't continue lubing up Ole Gunnar Solskjaer too much. But look, I always like to say, you know, and this is probably one of my rants, that you have a choice as a football fan. And I understand looking long term. I'm a guy who likes to look at the bigger picture myself. But when you look too far ahead, you can lose out in the moment. And that's just true for everything in life. So, you know, I've always said, if you're Ollie out and you're tweeting Ollie out every weekend, you're going to have a pretty crap time watching United because he's going to be here till May, you know. So you might as well learn to enjoy it. And that goes for everyone. So just enjoy it, you know. Don't be too long-termism because, you know, in order to get to the future, you have to live in the present. You have to live in the moment and take it game by game. Should we be playing football like this long-term? I don't know. I don't think so. You know, 5 at the back is not going to win you a Premier League title unless you do it the way Conte did it. But in isolated results, when we're in a heated top 4 race, when we're still in the Europa League, still in the FA Cup, and we desperately needed a result because we bottled it against Everton, I think this is a really positive thing. And any other manager would have bottled this. I think if Pep Guardiola was in the reverse situation, he would have bottled it because he would have been like, no, let's go play extravagant football. Pogba's injured, Rashford's injured. It's okay. Let's go play tiki-taka like he did when he was as he's been doing as manager of City. And no disrespect to Pep, I applaud him for being one of the best football managers in the world in terms of playing attractive, fluid, entertaining football. But when it comes to making the hard decisions, the decisions that get you over the line, short term and long term sometimes, I have to applaud Ollie on that. And yeah, I may have said Ollie out in the past, I may have said Ollie in the past, but that was just an emotional reaction. If you're asking me today, I'm not Ollie in, I'm not Ollie out. I think let's just wait till May, let's see what happens. And look, not many managers win trophies, so whatever you think of the FA Cup, if we lift the FA Cup or even the Europa League, I think that's a big accomplishment, right? Like, not many managers win trophies in world football. I'm not even talking about in general. In world football. Not many managers beat Pep 3 times, but more importantly, not many managers win trophies, like actually lift the pieces of silverware that we love to watch as football fans. So let's just see what happens, man. Let's just see what happens. And we don't necessarily have to wait till May. Let's just see what happens in the next few games. That's what I would say.
It's not easy. Not easy to win a trophy. Yeah. Like, that's why I respect Pep so much. As much as he has a glamorous team, a lot of people have glamorous teams, but a lot of them just don't do it.
Yeah, but what makes Pep such a good manager and what made Wenger such a good manager is because of the football he plays, the brand of football he plays, and how when he has the right players, that brand of football is able to entertain you and still win trophies, you know?
Yeah,
so definitely. Yeah, as a tactician, Pep Guardiola is the best in the world for me as a tactician. But as a manager and as a person who can react to circumstances and put their ego aside and say, look, I'm not in a good position at the moment. I need to play for my job and I need to make sure that we don't lose this game. He ain't the guy. You know, I'd love to see this guy in a small team.
I don't want to go into an argument about Pep, but I can understand why he does that.
Yeah, because it's a style that he believes in. It's a style that he believes in, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like Pep Guardiola doesn't care about what other teams do. He's always been a man who says, "I'm going to focus on me because I believe in my playing style." And this is, that's Pep, and you can't change that. And again, it's not a bad thing.
It's about the principle. It's about we'll always play like this, and sometimes it'll work, and sometimes it won't. And
exactly. Yeah, but there's a stubbornness to that, and it's funny with Pep because at least with Pep he plays attractive football. I didn't want to bring this up because this is my outro, but Mourinho on the other hand is very stubborn and he plays negative football, which is funny. It's two managers who are very similar in terms of personality and ego, but very different in playing style. And one of them is second, and the other one is struggling with Tottenham at the moment. So just something to make your football juices flow. But anyways, look, I hope you've enjoyed your weekend. If you're a Manchester United fan, enjoy it. Enjoy it. It may have hurt your eyes for a long while, but, enjoy it. And hopefully you enjoy the rest of your week. Hopefully this was the cherry on top that you needed in your weekend. We will catch you again here in a few days' time with the podcast. Don't forget to hit that like button. Do not forget to subscribe. And I will catch you in the next one, brother or sister. Got him.